4 people died in one night. Their names were Jim, Ron, Mike, and Dave. Soon they found themselves walking down a wide paved road, which they continued on together until they reached a fork. Before them, 2 paths opened, one to the left and one to the right. They stopped in thought. Suddenly, a man in white appeared before them. "Welcome, friends," he said. "Before you lies the road to your new home. One path leads to paradise, a place of unimaginable beauty, and the other to hell, filled with horrors, despair, and hopelessness. However, you are not permitted to know which path leads where. You must choose a road and walk it on your own. Keep in mind, you can turn back at any point until you reach the gates of heaven or hell. If you end up in hell, you will remain there. But do not be afraid. Whatever happens, each of you will receive what you deserve." The man disappeared. The travelers were stunned by these conditions. Where have you ever heard of choosing the road to heaven or hell at random, they thought. But there was no other choice. They decided to draw lots to determine who would go first. A man named Jim drew the lot and immediately, without hesitation, turned right, as the word right associated with something correct and true to him. He marched confidently down the road, but soon stopped, frightened by the roar of wild beasts. Then dark clouds gathered, blocking out the sun, and the ground trembled beneath his feet. Jim was terrified, thinking he had chosen the wrong path, and turned back to the fork. There he shared what he had seen, thoroughly frightening the other 3. And he turned left. But as he moved forward, he saw even more terrifying and ominous signs, and utterly frightened, ran back to the crossroads again. All 4 were deeply unsettled. "I won't go back anymore," he said. Jim made a firm decision to take the right road. He walked forward, ignoring the terrifying roars of wild beasts, stormy clouds, and the trembling ground beneath his feet. At some point, the sky cleared, and he saw a place of incredible beauty ahead, filled with peace. Seeing that Ron did not return, a man named Dave also decided to make his move. He didn't know what had happened to Ron. Perhaps wild animals had devoured him along the right path. So Dave decided to choose the left path. Of course, he wasn't sure if the left path was the correct one, but he thought, "Whatever happens at the end, I will accept it and adapt." He moved forward, ignoring the ominous signs, the roars of wild beasts, stormy clouds, and fierce lightning. Finally, he reached a place where a dirty sign stuck out of the ground with the word, "Hell." At that moment, the road behind him disappeared, leaving him no way to retreat. Ahead of Dave stretched a gloomy, bleak, dark, and cold valley, completely unfit for life. People there lived in small, poorly built shacks, constantly trembling with fear of being torn apart by wild animals, attacked by bandit gangs, or stuck in swamps. Dave learned from the locals that the land was cursed, even by the devil himself. Dave reflected, "I promised myself that I wouldn't retreat from my chosen path. I will try to stop being afraid of the locals' intimidation and cries of hopelessness. I will also stop blindly believing that this land is cursed by the devil. Inside me is peace and tranquility. My conscience is clear. So why should the outside world be hell?" These thoughts gave Dave confidence, and he called upon the locals to stop trembling with fear and try to change their living conditions. A small group of people listened to Dave and followed him, but others feared things might get even worse. With his small group of followers, Dave began draining the swamps, building new bright houses, planting gardens, defending against bandit gangs, and taming wild animals. The doubters soon joined them when they saw so many wonderful changes. Over time, the town grew and flourished, and everything around was filled with beauty and peace. Then Dave came to the gates, removed the hell sign, and nailed a new one that read, "Heaven." And just as he did this, a new crossroads appeared before him, and a man in white clothing asked him, "Do you already know what you need to do now?" "I think I need to choose a road again," Dave replied. "Exactly," said the man in white. "But before I make my choice, will you tell me what happened to my 3 companions?" The man replied, "Ron went straight to heaven, a place very similar to the one you created yourself. However, he regrets not participating in its creation or contributing to its prosperity. He wishes he could have done something himself. When his desire becomes strong enough, he will be offered the choice of a new road. Most likely, he will have the chance to visit hell and create his own heaven, just as you did." As for Jim and Mike, they are still in real hell because they are paralyzed by fear and continue to wander indecisively at the crossroads. "And what lies ahead for me?" Dave asked another question. "Uncertainty," said the man. This answer both frightened and inspired Dave. He nodded and confidently stepped onto the road leading to the right.